Hey, and welcome back to another week of the Red Zone. We're here for week 3 of our show, and again here on the campus of Mercer University, inside Mercer University Stadium, talking high school football as we get, I guess, to the quarter post of the season.
Yep.
Big things last week. The big game last week was Peach County at Baldwin. Peach hadn't really ever been pushed around, I don't think, by a team in Middle Georgia over the years in a regular season game. I know they've had some scrimmages with Northside, but I was completely shocked by how Baldwin dominated that game in a 35-21 win. It's just something you don't ever really see with Peach County.
That was the biggest surprise of the week for me because you were at that game and I was following you on Twitter and you just kept saying, I've never seen this before with Peach County getting pushed around like this. And we all picked Peach County to win the game in the Telegraph that morning and really was stunned by that. I know Peach County is young. It's not the team that it has been in recent years, but it just didn't expect that going into that game. I thought that might be a game that they could lose, but just not the way they did lose it.
And I think it's a big boost for Baldwin. They've got a huge game this week against Washington County, but going forward into that region, that's going to be a big confidence boost for them. They've got a young team, but they've got some veteran playmakers. Contavious Thomas rushed for 250 yards. Quarterback Tajay Chambers has been there starting for 3 years. So I think they have the weapons, and they were lacking maybe in the confidence, particularly after a loss to Jefferson County to open the season. So maybe that boosts their confidence, and they could be a really dangerous team going forward. Now,
losing to Jefferson and then turn around and beat Peach, I mean, that's got to be a big boost for them because that's really what I kind of pinned my thoughts on that game of them losing to Peach was that they had lost to Jefferson, and then to turn around and beat Peach was really impressive.
Right. So then we go a little bit farther, I guess, to the northwest, for Jones County. They had a big game against Mary Persons. I don't want to say I'm brilliant, but the timing was brilliant on our Keeper and Rawls story. He goes out and has two touchdown catches and a big interception. And I think Mary Persons is another team, much like Baldwin. This region 2 Quad A schedule is tough. And any way you can gain some momentum going into it is a big boost. They certainly got it with the win over Jones.
Yeah, and they're playing really well. I mean, for them to come out of the season, come out of the gates beating Jackson, beat Jones County, they've got to be really excited about that, especially after winning 10 games last year in Coach Nelson's first year. He's got to be really pleased with his team, how they've started the season. And then once we get into that region, I think they start next week in region play, it's going to be Westside, them, Baldwin, and then that's going to be a really interesting race. And then whoever is the 4th spot is going to be an interesting race between some of those other teams. So it really is going to be fun to see, but another good win for Mary Persons. And they really have become a really solid program. I know they've always been pretty good. They did a really good job before Coach Nelson took over, but they really seem to have buying into what he wants them to get done.
Well, I mean, obviously they were a historically great program under Dan Pitts, and now they have kind of got some of that luster back with these last 2 years under Nelson. Now, looking forward to this week. Tomorrow night, well, I guess we're filming this on Wednesday, but it will be tonight. 2 big games. One, not necessarily a game that we feel like is going to be very competitive, but Rutland's playing Central here in town. It's a big game for Rutland because, one, they've never been 2-0. Now they're 2-0. Each win, they gain some more confidence, and they're going to be fighting for one of those playoff spots in Region 2-4A. You said that you'd have a couple teams fighting for that last spot. Everyone kind of anticipates that Westside, Mary Persons, and Baldwin are the top 3, and they're going to be Rutland and Veterans and some other schools fighting for that last spot. And a huge win last week for Rutland, and the more confidence they get, the more energy they get going forward. It's going to be big as they chase a playoff spot.
And they've got a lot of talent as well, and they've kind of switched over to more of a spread offense. You see Kenneth Williams, you see some of the other players they have, and that really has helped showcase their talents. And they're playing really well. That's the thing is, this is a team that hasn't won. It hasn't been awful, but they just haven't won a lot of big games. And you see when you start winning a couple of these games that you should win, that can carry over and give you some momentum and some confidence going in later in the season. And that's going to be interesting to watch them, how they progress from this team that's been close outside the region playoffs to if they get in the hunt, how do they perform when the pressure's a little bit more. And they should be a fun team to watch.
Also Thursday night down in Warner Robins, Northside's playing Westside. It was a big game last year. I know it was a blowout in terms of point spread. But Westside gained a lot from that game confidence-wise. They hung with Northside. They scored. They moved the ball. They stopped Northside a little bit. and didn't lose another game the rest of the regular season. This year, Westside's a little untested because they don't have the quarterback experience, but the two guys they played there have been very good so far, and they are looking to have a similar boost. They may not be able to beat Northside, but a strong showing, and maybe they boost them all the way to a region championship again.
The thing with Westside is, and I talked to Coach Risper about this a couple times, he just says we're so young on the offensive and defensive lines. And there might not be a worse team to be young on your offensive and defensive lines than Northside. I mean, you've seen Northside. You've told me how good they look, how physical they look up front. Coach Risper said they look like a junior college team with all the big players they have, all the size. And that could be a tough matchup for them just because of the offensive and defensive lines and how they are going to try to face off with Northside. I think on the outside they might match up with them as far as receivers and skill position. But up front, that might turn into a mismatch.
And it's fitting we're here at Mercer because Northside's offensive line is larger than Mercer's offensive line. Big game Friday night, Peach County at Warner Robins. Trojans looking for a bounce back after that loss at Baldwin. This has been a really, really good game the last 2 years. Warner Robins, you know, they won their opener against veterans. I don't think they probably felt like they played their crispest game. And so I think both these teams have a little bit to prove this week.
And Warner Robins was off last week, so they get 2 weeks to prepare. And I talked to Coach Wade this morning. He said, hey, the game's been great the last 2 years, but the outcome hadn't been great for us. They've lost the last couple of games to Peach County, so they want to get the outcome changed. They want to play a little bit better and improve from that first game to the second game. And they've got a good team. They've just got to get better a little bit and again, play this rivalry game. I know Coach Wade was looking forward to it. I know Coach Campbell is probably looking forward to seeing his team perform a little bit better than they did last week.
It's a big game for him to challenge his team to play a little bit better than they did a week ago against Baldwin. Now, the last game we're going to talk about is Stratford Deerfield Windsor. The road to the championship at the GISA has gone through Deerfield Windsor over the last 5 or 6 years. So the Knights have been the measuring stick for all of the teams in the GISA to measure up against. And Stratford's going to get this chance. I know Deerfield last week, Mountain Sales misses an extra point at the end of the game and could have sent that to overtime.
And won on a block punt.
Right.
That's how Deerfield got the go-ahead points.
So it's going to be a big measuring stick for Stratford to see where they're at.
I think so too. And Coach Fairby will be his third game here back at Stratford. I know they've played well the first couple of games, so they're really excited about that as well. And really want to see how they are playing at home and seeing how they'll do against a team. Deerfield won the state title last year. I don't know if they're quite as strong this year as they have been in the past, but I know it'll be a big test for Stratford.
Well, thanks, and join us next week